I'm Colt Stevens from C. Stevens Gunworks. The following video you're going to see is an archive of my earlier work. Some of these earlier videos of mine have some great information that I really wanted to repost and preserve. So I hope you enjoy the content and I hope you learn something from this video. Today we're going to be going over the Colt AR15A4 Rifle. This is a 5.56 20-inch rifle, an AR-15 of course, made by Colt Manufacturing. Pretty much the top brand as far as ARs go. Unless you get into the super custom. Colt, of course, has been around for pretty much the longest in the AR manufacturing game. They know their stuff. This is as close to military as you can get. You think about LWRC, there's been some improvements over the years, maybe even Daniel Defense, things like that. Those are more higher end, I would say. Maybe not as proven over time. The Colt AR-15 is pretty much the military standard. They, of course, hold the contract for the M16 and some M4s, depending on which specific rifle you're looking at, but in general, the M16s belong to Colt. They're Colt's brand, of course. When you think M16, you think Colt, authentic, original, the original generator of the M16, the original producer. Colt bought the patent from Armalite for the AR-15 and then kind of really started ramping up production into the popular rifle that it is today. They came out with the AR-15 itself from Colt. They had the AR-15A2, which was the next model. They had the AR-15A3 and the AR-15A4, which is this one today. That series, the A1, A2, A3, A4, are as close as you can get to the authentic M16 originally. These are clone rifles, we can say. Not really clone because they are made by Colt. It's like if you took an M16 and just made it semi-auto and then sold it, but didn't demill it or anything like that. It's not military surplus. These are new production. But they're as close as you can get to the real military standard rifle, the M16, or M4 nowadays, the 16-inch. The first thing you'll note with this rifle is when you think military, you kind of think 16-inch. This is the 20-inch, the true Vietnam style. Full length, it's super long here, as you can see. It's a true rifle, it's not a carbine. The carbine is kind of what you would think of as a 16-inch. This is the continuation from Vietnam, the M16A1. All the way up to the 4 they're on now. This is the newest generation of Colt rifle, just in the civilian variant, the AR-15A4 versus M16A4. So it's authentic, it's from Colt, it's as close as you can get to the real thing without actually having an M16, you have an AR-15. So we'll go over some of the features here. This is a 5.56, of course, 20-inch barrel. This is a 1/7 twist rate barrel, half by 28 threaded. Has the A2 flash hider there. Bayonet lug right here. You have a sling swivel right here for your front sling. A2 fixed gas block. You can take that off, but it takes a huge amount of effort. If you do, the barrel itself is drilled out for those taper pins. I don't recommend you do that. If you're going to replace the barrel on one of these with the drilled taper pins, I would just rebarrel it and do the whole upper. It doesn't make sense to just do the barrel if you're going to have, say you change out that gas block and you put like a free float rail here, and just like a regular low profile gas block, that's going to look kind of ugly because you're going to have the drill marks underneath it. You can still see underneath there. So I don't recommend that if you're trying to change that out. That's just kind of the difference with the A2 style. If you like iron sights, this is really ideal because the only way you're going to get rid of that front sight is going to be redoing the whole upper.
but it pairs nicely with the rear sight, the carry handle. So if you like the authentic military look, rear sight, carry handle, A2 front sight, that's the combo right there. Because you're stuck with it, you can't really take that off, at least not easily. So, but if you like it, that's great, because you're stuck with it permanently. So this is rifle length gas, 20-inch barrel, of course. Rifle length handguard, not the triangle, so that would be the A1 or the A2. A3 I think is the same as this. It does retain the triangle end cap here, which is important to know if you're building a 20-inch. The rifle length handguards take that triangle end cap, so that's important to remember. Standard delta ring for your non-free float rails there. Rear sight here, you have two optic choices. You have one that's aperture and one that is peep sight. Adjustment screw right here, right there. You have two screws right here. If you want to take that off, it is removable. You can put an optic on there if you want underneath here. This is just a regular Picatinny rail. The only thing is you'll have to match it up with that front sight. Smaller red dots can also work with a flip up rear sight if you want to do that. You got enough real estate there that you can put a red dot and a rear flip up sight if you want to. So you have iron sight and red dot at the same time. Before I keep going, the barrel itself is cold hammer forged. That's kind of what Colt is known for. Cold hammer forged, I talked a little bit about this in the previous couple of videos. We had a Palmetto State Armory kit. The way it works is, as far as barrels go, there's cut rifling, which is kind of low end. There's medium range barrels, which are cold hammer forged, and then you kind of go back again for high end for cut rifling. Cold hammer forged barrels are known for their durability. Somebody that's as big as Colt knows their stuff pretty well, and they have the money to invest in the tooling necessary to produce cold hammer forged barrels. So overall, that's a much more durable rifle barrel. Lasts a lot longer. Probably holds rifling better than the cut rifling, but it may not be as accurate as the super high-end cut rifling. It's definitely better than low-end cut rifling. So it's kind of a medium between accuracy and durability. Durability is what Colt Hammer Forged is known for. This rifle is direct impingement, no piston here. It's not an HK, it's not an LWRC, it's not a SIG rifle. It's just the standard classic. And that's kind of the theme. Standard classic is what they're going for. The military standard. Forged lower and upper, not billet or anything. Standard A2 pistol grip here. And finally back here we have the A2 fixed rifle stock, the Vietnam era style, if you're familiar with that. That's pretty much all standard 20 inches will have that, just that kind of ratio. The barrel and the stock are almost always 20-inch and A2 fixed stock. A couple things extra we have. This is a forward assist. Not really special, it's just that it's part of the military contract that they have that. We also have ambidextrous safety here. That may be one of the changes on the A4 from the A3. I don't recall the ambidextrous safety on the A3, so I think that is one of the differences there. So that's pretty much all there is to this rifle. It breaks down the same. So we'll go ahead and pull it apart here real quick for you and show you what that's all about. So you pop this pin right here behind the safety on the left side. That's where you pull it out. Pull this bolt carrier out right there. Pull this charging handle out right there. If you want to clean it at this point, you can. You can clean the bolt carrier, spray some oil on it, wipe it down. Leave the oil back on it though when you put it back in, because that helps it cycle a little better. Wipe this down a little bit, the charging handle. You want to wipe everything in here that touches the cartridge. The inside of this upper is really important to get as well. It's good to leave some oil in there as well to help it glide a little bit better, especially under high heat. If you're planning on shooting a lot of rounds through this rifle, it's a good idea to leave it well lubricated. And that is really the only specifics on here. Just looking at this lower, this does have a spot right there, so you can't put an AutoSear in there, a drop-in AutoSear, which you shouldn't do anyway, because that would be illegal unless you have a registered NFA item, which you might. There's several of those floating around. They're just super expensive. I can't imagine getting one today. I bet they're super expensive nowadays. But it's important to note, if you do happen to have one of those AutoSears, you cannot use it in this rifle. They have physically blocked it off in that lower. So let's go over the features on the spec sheet on their website, just to make sure we've not missed anything. This is UPC 098289023292. If you're curious, you can look up that UPC and it will take you straight to the Colt website or any other vendor that may have one. That being said, these are super hard to find. I doubt you'll find one right this minute. They were very desirable back when I got it a couple of years ago, and I'm sure they're still super hard to find. This is 20-inch 1/7 twist 5.56 NATO barrel, half by 28 thread M16A4, kind of a clone. It's like I said, it's Colt authentic. It's as close as you can get to the real deal M16A4 without being full auto select fire. Just straight semi-auto. Detachable carry handle rear optic, A2 fixed stock, ambidextrous safety. The overall length is 39.5 inches from rear stock to front of the barrel, the muzzle. The total weight on this rifle unloaded is 7.7 pounds. Magazine might add a little more. Definitely cartridges would add some more, 30 rounds or 20, depending on whichever you prefer. The other thing with these rifles is, of course, earlier this year, Colt announced that they were going to discontinue their civilian line of, they were going to discontinue production of their civilian rifles and just focus exclusively on their military contract. They've actually reversed that now, and they are starting production again as of a couple months ago. So these are going to be available sometime in the future if you can get your hands on one. They're for sure being made. It's just dependent on how many they're going to make and where you can get one, because they're a quality rifle and they want a quality price, especially because it's got the Colt trade name on it. They are definitely proud of those, and some might say rightfully so. They're really the original designer. They hold the original design, maybe not the original designer. Eugene Stoner, AR-10 originally, and then kind of scaled down to the AR-15 itself. Of course, Colt bought that from them at that point, and then kept going with it and made it into the rifle that it is today, as far as popularity. So, that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.